Hi, this is Deborah Atkinson, the voice for fitness, and the author of Navigating Fitness After 50, your GPS for choosing programs and professionals that you can trust. Now, if you're not 50 or older, don't go away. This is for you too. Don't count calories, make your calories count. So if you are one of those calorie clicking counters and you check your app before you eat every meal, you may be following a Weight Watching type of a plan or using points and attributing those, or really taking a few days just to do a nutrition log. And I have no problem with that if it's working for you. But if it's not working for you and it's driving you crazy, then stop and let's make a new plan. So here's what statistics tell us about the people who've been able to take off weight and maintain that weight loss. So a lot of people can lose weight. The problem is we keep finding it. So for successful losers of weight and people who are naturally skinny, they are not calorie counters. And people who tend to be more naturally thin throughout their lives tend to have a different way of eating, mostly because of a different way of thinking about food. They think of it more as fuel. They are not distracted by thinking about what their next meal is going to be or looking forward to food so much as a source of enjoyment or socialization. They do it, but then they forget it. It's not as if it's their focus. And they're not so obsessive about the fact that something has X amount of calories in it, neither for themselves or for somebody else. And if that's you, you know who you are. We don't need to bring it up. But the key is, if you are simply counting calories, your nutrient density can go way down while you're eating fewer calories and taking in less density. If that happens, you will lose weight temporarily. And then what will happen is your metabolism begins to slow down because you're doing that, and you're not getting the nutrients you need. So very likely you are losing muscle. And every time you diet with a calorie count, you are also losing muscle and gaining fat. So that doesn't bode well for you in 5 more years, or in 10 or 20, when we tend to be less active as we age. Now, we all hope we're not going to be. That's not going to be us. But I can see it in myself from 10 years ago and 20 years ago. I'm less active. Maybe because we're in the middle of our careers. But we don't know what health will bring in the next 10 or 20 years for any of us. So the more healthy we can stay right now, moderately active, moderately eating, the better we'll be, right? So we want to make sure we set ourselves up for success in a future that we don't quite have control over. So let's make sure, if we compare foods of different values, an avocado, for instance, yep, lots of calories, lots of fat, but does it have a lot of nutrient density? Is it a good quality fat? Yes. So that's not a license to drive and to overeat it, but to include it is probably a wise decision over a really low-fat salad without any added fats or crunch or texture or taste. So that creamy texture of an avocado is also very satisfying. So the more sated you are, the more, in other words, satisfied you are from that meal. The research is telling us that at the next meal you will tend to eat less, fewer calories overall than you would have had you not done that. So the more deprived you start out in the morning, the more you're going to feel like you get to pay it back at some point later in the day. And the later in the day you do it, the more it tends to go to your hips and your arms and anywhere else that you don't want it to go. So let's start making the calories that you choose count. If you choose high density foods and you decide whether or not to put it in by, is this really good for me? Is it going to contribute to my health? And does it taste good? Not just is it good for me, but does it taste good? Am I going to enjoy it? Or how can I enjoy it? Then it will be really hard to overeat. If you fill your plate with fruits and vegetables and lean meats, if you are a meat eater, and grains and the other things are hard to put on your plate. A, because you're full and you're satisfied. You don't tend to want them or have those cravings anymore. And if you do, you tend to be able to stop with a taste. So a spoonful or a serving, not the whole carton of the Chunky Monkey. So if that tip was valuable for you, I'm going to ask you to go and click here. So inbox is right where it will be delivered. Tips once a week. I promise I won't spam you or share your list without your permission. And go there. It's really important to me that you get the right information, that you're making decisions that work for you and that are real for you. And it's hard to sort out all the myths and all the misinformation out there. So do the best that I can to sort out what's real and what should come to your inbox. And I'll see you there.